You know, that's where a calculator will come into play. You know, I can't raise something to 180. Okay. You could use the yeah, someone just asked actually a very good question. I mean, I'm not against you using the TVM solver. The impression I got from people was that these formulas were easier to work with. But whatever you decide to use, that's fine, just like on the previous test. You know, whatever you decide to use is up to you. Hmm? No, it's a very good question. Good question. I'm glad someone asked that. So good. All right. Okay. All right. So let's keep. So with this, wait, let me. Okay. Nope, not that. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So again, we want to solve this now. So wait, hold on. So we have this here to solve. So I rewrote it on this slide, okay? As you can see. So now what we're doing is, okay, we have to figure out what this is. So raising that to 180, again, that's where a calculator comes into play. You get this number here. And again, you subtract 1, you get this. Multiply, you get this here. And the whole quotient turns out to be this. Now this is money, so we really should round it to 2 decimal places. So we'll just do that. That's what we get. Now, so that's part A. That's what our balance is. So that's what the balance will be. Now, part B asked for the total amount. How much total money will we put into the account? In other words, if we keep depositing money like this, how much are we putting in once the 15 years go by? You know, if we deposit $100 a month and we're doing this for 15 years, what's the total amount of money that we end up putting in? Well, that's not so bad to get. You're just going to have to multiply, right? You have $100. But now remember, this is per month. So we have to multiply it by 12 because there are 12 months in a year. And that is going on, you know, for about 15 years. For 15 years. So we have 100 times 12 times 15, and we get this. I know it's easy to forget to multiply by 12, but remember, you have to make sure the units are right. You know, it's kind of like what we did in the beginning of the course, that whole, what do you call it, factor label method. Okay. That's what we're doing here. So we end up contributing a total of $18,000. But remember also the account interest is being built. The interest is being accumulated in the account. Well, if we're only contributing this amount, the rest must come from interest. So to get the total interest, we subtract. So this is the total amount we get from interest. Okay. 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 That was the first example. So are there any questions about this? Okay. All right, so let's try another one then. So this one's a little bit different. So here's another one. So we want to have $550,000 $1,000 for retirement in 20 years. That's what we want to have. And we know the account we're using is earning 10% interest. So the first question is, how much do we need to deposit each month in order to get this, in order to get this, in order to achieve this goal? Well, again, we're making many deposits, right? We're not just making one deposit, we're making many. So because of that, we have an annuity. So it's going to be similar to the problem before, in that we're going to use that same formula. Then, we have to figure out how much total money we put into the account and how much total interest we earn. But it's similar though, except though we know the balance now. The balance, what we want to have is $500,000. What we're looking for is the monthly deposit. That's what PMT is. We don't know that. The interest rate they give us, that was 10%, but you write it as a decimal. They tell us T is 20, so 20 years. Okay? And is how many times it's compounded in a year. Well, remember, we said that we're making monthly deposits. They didn't say how often the account is compounded, right? They never said that. But in that case, we assume it's being compounded as often as we make deposits. So in other words, we're assuming it's being compounded monthly since we're making monthly deposits. But this is our formula we have to solve, as you can see. Okay, we have to figure out PMT. That's our unknown. Okay, how do we do that? Well, it's just like before. We handle the numerator and denominator separately. I mean, the denominator is easy. You just divide. I guess it's easy if you have a calculator. For the numerator, we have to work inward. We have to start with the innermost terms. We have to use order of operations, in other words. So we have 1 plus 0.10 over 12. We have 1 plus 0.008333. We did the quotient first. Then, right, we add. We get this, as you can see. This step I added, so this may not be in your notes, but I added the step here. Okay, now the exponent's 240, right? 12 times 20. We have 240, as you can see. Okay, so that raised to the 240 turns out to be this. Again, that's a calculator. I mean, I can't do that in my head, so I use the calculator for that. We subtract 1, we get this numerator, as you can see. So altogether, we get this, as you can see. Please. So we have this equation to solve. PMT is our unknown, okay? So if we can do this quotient, that's what we're doing here, right? This divided by this. That's where the 759 number comes from. Dividing both sides by that, we get PMT is this, as you can see. And that turns out to be about 658.44. Okay, so altogether, again, we divided, and we divide again, and we get this. Okay, so that's what we end up with. So basically, our monthly payment, of course we have to round it, our monthly payment is about $658.44. Monthly deposit, that is, as we can see. Okay, so that's what we're putting in. Now remember, part B, they're asking for the total amount we end up putting in. So if we keep depositing this amount for 20 years, how much in the end are we going to be putting in? Will we have put in, that is? Well, it's just like before. What do? You multiply. We have this times 12 months per year, right? Because again, this is monthly deposit. We're doing this for 20 years. So we want to go from months to years. How do we do that? We have to multiply by 12 months per year. So we have this, right, times 12 months per year, times 20 years. And we end up with this. So this is what we get. So we end up putting in a total of this. Now remember, the balance we had was $500,000, right? You know, that was given. In other words, we're saying that in 20 years, we're going to have $500,000, right? Now, we just calculated how much we're contributing from those monthly deposits. Where's the rest of the money coming from? Interest. And how much total interest? How do we get the interest? We subtract, as you can see. We subtract. So we subtract. So when we do that, we get this. We get $341,974.40. Okay. Any questions on this? Hope I didn't go too fast.